There is nothing very difficult that you cannot understand. It's only a humble reminder. Because pastoral care, you already know, you have been from the children you have been seeing marriages and then parish be celebrating and this and that. Only that this is an occasion for me to remind you of your duty later on as pastors. Already now as seminarians, in giving catechism to the people who are going to marry, to the children, and then later on after the marriage. About that you are reminded. Only that we put in some kind of technical or juridical language how we have to do. The remote preparation, the proximate preparation for all those of marriageable age, and then immediate preparation just a few days before the marriage, then the liturgical preparation. The purpose is the same thing. First of all of us are called to be disciples. Know the holiness of family life. Know the obligation and rights of husband and wife and parents and the children, duty to one. That is the purpose. So that's why here, towards the end, I insisted on the celebration of the wedding liturgy and due preparation. It must be very, very meaningful. Sometimes I have seen, they have never prepared. At the time only, just before the Mass, the priest says, the bride or bridegroom read the reading. Videograph, they are frightened, they never prepared the reading. Some are doing preparation already. See to it that who is going to proclaim the reading. Ask them the previous day. You may have so many works, but then ask your collaborators to see to it. Have the reading been practiced? I would be happy when you are later on parish priests or even different houses or in the seminary. One of the first things the seminarian should do is, soon after the breakfast, come to you and then proclaim the reading in your room, that you may correct it. You get an opportunity to prepare for the homily for the next day. He is clear about what he is going to read. Sometimes I come there, people come and read the wrong reading. I have prepared homily on something else. In order to fulfill the requirement of law, some seminarians make some noise, that's all. Some of them are making some noise. They don't understand, they don't allow others to understand. Then why they make noise at all, we do not know. So you have to be very careful with regard to liturgy, not much on it. And then the last number there says about following them pastoral care after the marriage. In Singapore, every year, soon after the Christmas, one day, in the octave of Christmas, we will have the celebration of marriage of all those who have completed 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years that year. It will be so nice. That day there will be a good meal and then they will share like that. Not only jubilarians 25 and 50, but every 5 years, those who have completed 5 years in that particular parish. In Our Lady, Queen of Peace parish, where I used to go often. So like that you have to also gather people, remind them of their marriage. It is a wonderful occasion to come. Pastoral care, what are the ways and means you know, and then how to arrange for it. So this is the first canon 1063. 1064 speaks about the responsibility of the local ordinary for pastoral care. Responsibility of the local ordinary. You know the word local ordinary. Yesterday I already explained. Yes. Diocesan bishop, vicar general, episcopal vicar. These are the three principles. Of course, diocesan administrator who is equal to the bishop. So the local ordinary, note the word, the local ordinary is responsibility to ensure, to make sure that this assistance is duly organized. So organization is left to him. Actually doing it is distributed to the whole diocese. So it is their responsibility. And then men and women of proven experience and expertise can be made use of. Consult people with experience are there. Good married couple, expertise are there. Good doctors are there. Psychologists are there. People who have lived their married life, who have this. So the whole Christian community must participate in providing pastoral care. Providing pastoral care. You have to make use of them. So the best exercise of leadership is tapping the resources of the community. There will be some people want acknowledgement, that's all. You can ask them, not every time you have to say, you find a good Catholic lady. Come on, take all the girls of that age, or if it is both sex not possible. You ask them to talk to them, her experience of living the married life in general. There will be problems. You should keep the house neat, you should be a good housekeeper. You should be patient in this situation. Bring up childbirth. Instead of you are talking who never married, making them talk, it will do much good. How many parish priests are really? Most of the problems are because of lack of due preparation of marriage. Afterwards they come to the tribunal. Prevention is better than cure. In spite of the preparation, there will be problems. We can't do it. But we should not be cause of the problem because we are not prepared. We are prepared for so many years. Aspirancy, postulancy, novitiate, juniorate, philosophy, theology, diaconate ministry. And then for them, you don't give sufficient at all. Like fast food, you bless the marriages. And then afterwards you leave them. Now permanent formation. I was very much impressed, recently, Father Anthony Mukandottam passed away also. When the senior group came, I was always invariably in the group for animating them. But Mukandottam at his age was taking down notes. I was thinking, this old man, what he is going to learn anything new at this age? I was so much impressed. When Father, our great theologian, Father Jacob Parapalli and all, they were taking down notes and asking for clarifications, wanting to know something about the canonical updates. Some people don't want to learn anything only when they are seminarians already. So great people, they want to learn something new. Learn something new, that's important. So here also we have to say, make use of that. Okay? I am happy the code uses the word, make use of lay people of experience and expertise. For the marriage catechism, marriage courses. So that's given there. And local ordinary has to do it. I mean his organization, getting the people. 1065. Requirement before marriage. One is confirmation. First requirement is baptism, we know. It is the gateway to sacraments. Suppose they received first communion but no confirmation, bishop didn't come. What to do? Get permission from the bishop, and with due permission in the Latin church only you can give. But in the Oriental church, priest is ordinary minister, no problem. As far as possible, confirmation must be given before the marriage. But it is not required for validity. Baptism is required for validity. If there is grave inconvenience, even before confirmation it can be given. But as far as possible, we should see to it that they are confirmed before their marriage. Before their marriage. So that is given in Canon 1065. Paragraph 2. Penance and the Blessed Eucharist. Marriage goes along with penance, the sacrament of penance. Though now the modern language is reconciliation, the canon law uses the term penance only, sacrament of penance, doesn't matter. So they must receive the sacrament, that is the sacrament of marriage in a state of grace. State of grace. And Eucharist, not only Holy Mass, but also full participation in the Mass through the reception of the Holy Eucharist will help them to really experience the grace of God. Therefore, penance and Eucharist in the context of marriage is emphasized. And here again I have seen, before the marriage Mass, already the girl comes late. Then the parent is asked, did you make confession? And going on, and she making confession. Everybody is seeing that. And the parent is getting angry there. The whole mood is out. The girl who was smiling to come for the marriage is already serious. Have the confession previous day. Or ask them to come. Have you made confession? Arrange a priest. So these are all little things. But how you have to attend to that? You are satisfied that you have helped somebody. In my feedback, so many people from in my media ministry, so many people give feedback. Father, really I changed like this. Some of the things, so consoling. Like that one little thing. You send them tomorrow marriage Mass, Father, ask them to come previous day. Nothing, no problem even they are nearby. Come spend, make your confession and go. As far as possible, at least the previous day. So very important. So to receive in the sacrament of penance. Suppose they don't do it, again it will not affect the validity. But then fruitful celebration of the sacrament it helps. Fruitful celebration of the sacrament is help. So very clear. So this is for your pastoral life. You are learning all this. 1065. 1066. Every marriage must be celebrated validly and lawfully. Whether you are parish priest or whether you are a delegated minister to assist at the marriage, you must make sure that it is a valid marriage. So again we repeat this point, which you should never make mistakes. The three requirements for a valid marriage: consent, free from impediments, canonical form. So you should never celebrate a marriage knowingly and willingly which is invalid. So we are asking, suppose as parish priest, during the prenuptial inquiry already, do you know the boy? The girl says, no, I don't know. Then you should think, without knowing how you are going to marry, at least this boy, you may not know thoroughly. Did you inquire about it like that? They think not knowing is a virtue. Then afterwards I did not know, that's why I married. Now invalid marriage they should not say. Minimum knowledge they should have, isn't it? So all that, very already, during the prenuptial inquiry already, you have to assure the validity of the marriage. Writing the banns, no. At that time they have to fill the form. If the girl is not filling in your presence, she fills and they brings, or the boy brings and you have to ask them. Then they will say the answer before you. So many questions are there. Are you already married? All these questions are there. Prenuptial inquiry form. All the questions. So that will make sure that you are celebrating a marriage. As parish priest, you are allowing only a valid marriage. And then we read a banns also. If anybody comes across any impediment, please say. That is only one requirement. First requirement is consent. No, if somebody says it is forced consent. 12 impediments plus anything is wrong with the consent. So they have to say that boy is mental father, she is going to marry. One of the parishioners will come and say. So that's why we are reading the banns or putting it in the notice board in order to make sure that it is valid marriage. And then we always say, did you bring the papers? The banns were read in the other party's parish and then bring. Papers do not make the marriage valid or invalid. It is presence or absence of the impediment. It is the consent that makes it. But papers give us the assurance that the marriage is free from impediment, that the marriage is with true consent. Suppose no papers, you celebrate the marriage. Will the marriage be invalid? No. But it may be unlawful because law of the diocese says after the papers only you have to. But then the marriage will be valid or invalid depending on the three requirements being met. So that's why here Canon says, you should later on, if I come to know my MSMS students blessed an invalid marriage, did I not teach you that, man? I have video also, I will ask you. I will ask you. Did I not tell you? When the girl is weeping, you should not bless the marriage because she is forced into marriage. Consent. Knowingly you are blessing an invalid marriage, man. You did not verify whether these impediments are there. How do you know? We ask for the baptism certificate of the other party. Why? Because if the party is married, it will be entered in the baptism register and in the baptism certificate also marriage date. It will be there. It will be mentioned there. That's why we are asking also the freedom certificate that the parties were not married before. All that we are asking. Without the certificate, you simply bless the marriage. Bless the marriage. So all these things you have to take care. Was the party married? Father taught you that is confirmation. You come to know why you did not receive confirmation. If it is possible, get the authorization from the bishop to give confirmation. With the due authorization from the bishop, you can always give confirmation. You understand, no? Very good. These are pastoral points, but still I want to instill on you because I am concerned about you. Not only valid celebration but also lawful celebration. Follow the norms of the diocese. Follow the norms of the diocese with regard to writing of the banns and so on. Marriage preparation code certificate. Some dioceses say without that you should not bless the marriage. Due catechism, all that. Okay. 1067. This is about the prenuptial inquiry. Prenuptial inquiry and the publication of marriage banns. There can be also diocesan norms. PNE form, prenuptial inquiry form, and the publication of norms. Each country may have its own law and each diocese also may have additional laws. When he has lawfully observed these norms, the parish priest may proceed to assist a marriage. Every parish priest should not introduce his own law. So, country level we have, plus diocesan level we will have the norms. Mainly with regard to two things. One is reading the banns. Another thing is prenuptial inquiry. Prenuptial inquiry. Sometimes you cannot go through all the formalities. People are in danger of death. They have been living together. Now they want their marriage to be rectified. You want to make their marriage valid. What is minimum needed? Consent is needed. No impediment is there. And then the form, you are there. That's all. So in danger of death, we want to make sure that they are baptized. No baptism certificate. So, if they make a promise that they were really, declaration that they were really baptized, and if they declare that they were not married before, then we can go ahead with the marriage. This is in an emergency situation. One of you read that Canon 1068.
In danger of death, if other proofs are not available, it suffices unless there are contrary indications to have the assertion of the parties sworn if need be. that they are baptized and free of any impediment.
Yeah, two things they must swear or make an assertion. They are baptized, they are free from impediments. Of course, the third thing is consent. They voluntarily come, that is understood. Consent and canonical form are there already. But then the parties have to make an assertion. That is in danger of death. The next canon every week.
They are in danger of death, but after that they recovered, then should be able to do it.
No need of doing it again. Once valid. Only we have to enter the register. That's all. No need of, never repeating that marriage. Yeah, already blessed the marriage.
So
Only afterwards you can give a dinner.
no, we need to collect the
Yeah, if it is there you can collect, but then it will be entered here for registration. Okay. The next one you have heard all that. If there is any impediment to the marriage too, you have to tell the parish. While reading the banns, they say no. You have to inform the parish. My parish priest, one of my parish priest used to say, if you don't reveal the impediment, it is mortal sin for you, like that. You are saying like that in the parish. His way of announcing after the ban. If faithful are aware of the impediments, if they don't say it is mortal sin, he will say. Even before you are diaconate, bans will be read. If there is any impediment, he has a girl there. People have to inform. This fellow is cheated. Like that. So bans will be read, both for the diaconate, priesthood, and for the marriage. So, before the celebration of marriage, 1069, you know it already. All the faithful are bound to reveal the parish priest or the local ordinary such impediments as they may know about. So, before, not afterwards. All must reveal to the parish priest if they know. It is very simple. Okay. Normally the parish priest does the investigation, prenuptial inquiry. Sometimes another priest may do it, but he should not keep it with himself, he should give to the parish priest. That's what is given in the Canon 1070. So, if someone other than the parish priest whose function it is to assist at the marriage has made the investigation, he is by an authentic document to inform that parish priest of the outcome of these inquiries as soon as possible. So, because the parish priest must make sure all the marriages blessed in his parish are valid and lawful. Who made the investigation? He did not make, somebody else made. That person must inform the parish priest. It is also common sense. This is important. Later on we will see. After the marriage, responsibility of yesterday also I got a question. Responsibility of the parish priest. From Raipur diocese, one priest called me. Which register, marriage register, it should be entered? I told him clearly. He was saying, in the register, marriage register of the parties. No. Marriage register of the place where the marriage was celebrated. I told him. Marriage must be entered in the marriage. If they are celebrating their wedding in Basilica, Shivajinagar, the marriage will be registered in the Shivajinagar parish marriage register. But the parish priest is obliged to inform the place of baptism of the parties, that it may be also entered. Such and such a person, in the baptism register there is a column also, marriage. There he has to, on such and such a day, this person married. The parish priest has the obligation.
In case of our parishioner is going to another parish to get married with another church.
Yes.
So, if they are going, the parish priest has to give the letter. No. If the
parish priest gives a letter, this parish priest that they are baptized, that they are not already married, that they are coming there with free consent. Yes.
If that letter is not there.
If that letter is not there, what makes the marriage valid? Not there, it is unlawful, but it will become invalid only when those three requirements were not there. That's what I already told you.
But in case the impediments are there, because that the parish priest does not know there were some impediments.
You know already the answer for your question. If impediments are there, marriage is valid or invalid?
Invalid. No, only the parish priest knew, but where he is.
So I answered the question very clearly. Papers do not make the marriage valid or invalid. It is these three things which make the marriage valid or invalid. But we know whether these three things are already fulfilled from the paper. If you don't get the paper, then it is unlawful. You don't get the paper, you went ahead with the marriage, there is consent, there is no impediment, there is canonical form, marriage is valid. But it doesn't mean every parish priest can go ahead without the papers. Papers give him the surety that the marriage is valid. I don't know, still I don't understand your question at all.
Because there was in one marriage,
Yeah.
the party did not
Get the paper.
Did not get the paper. So the parish priest said, in that locality he said, unless you get the paper.
Yeah, he wants to be 100% sure because he still have doubt. One parish priest said, unless you get the paper, I will not bless the marriage. Another parish priest says, I know these parties, they are not cheating me. And if I postpone the marriage, all the dinner prepared will be wasted. So, I go ahead with the marriage. After maybe not causing harm to the people, informs the bishop. No problem, marriage is valid. Depends on the parish priest. And people, you should not tell them last moment. You as a parish priest should not be stupid and saying, bring the paper before the marriage. You should tell the previous day. Tomorrow you are going to bless the marriage mass. You should not presume people will bring the paper. It is equally, the parish priest must be dismissed. Parish priest must be dismissed for being lethargic about the requirements for the valid marriage. Okay, that's what I said clearly. With regard to this point, I repeated number of times. Here, still if you make mistakes, you will be at fault. Okay. Alright, now we go to a list of special marriages, difficult situation marriages. These may not affect the validity of the marriage, but it will affect the lawfulness of the marriage. Because of special problems, the code is taking extra precaution, telling the parish priest, these type of marriages, you also get the permission of the bishop. Suppose you don't get the permission, marriage will be valid, but then unlawful. There will be later on problem in such marriage. A number of points are given. 7 types of marriages are given. Marriages of 7 groups of people are given. So you should be careful. You should not bless. Normal marriages, no problem. Some marriages are entered into with special problems. Bring the bishop into the picture. Let him give authorization, then you go ahead, you are safe. You are safe. So without the permission of the ordinary, you should not bless. Sorry. The following marriages. Okay. Now, first one. Except in a case of necessity, no one is to assist without the permission of the local ordinary. Danger of death we can understand. Case of necessity. But then otherwise, normally you get the permission of the local ordinary. Local ordinary. What are? First, marriage of the Vagi. Means those who don't have permanent domicile or positive domicile. They are called the Vagi. In the general norms you have studied. Marriage of, like these people who are selling all these passive money and so they are 1 week here, 1 week there, 1 week there. So they come to your parish and then want marriage. Get the permission of the bishop. Local ordinary, first category, you know. Second, the marriage may be valid in canon law, but not valid in civil law. Marriage can be valid in canon law, but not valid in civil law. One simple example. Canonical age for marriage is even now 16, 14 only. We will be surprised. Canonical age for marriage is 16 and 14. Boy 16 and 14. But civil law 21, 18 in India. So you want to bless the marriage of 2018. You cannot. Boy has not completed 21. So, emergency situation. You can't go ahead with the marriage unless you get the permission of the bishop. Normally, bishop also will not give. He doesn't want to go to jail. Okay. Then, third one. Somebody was living with another woman, had children also, never married. Now he wants to marry another young girl. No impediment. But then there is obligation towards the former wife and children. Keep chinna veedu, as they call it, small house. You had a small house, now you want to have a middle house or big house. Big house. So now there is no impediment. Problematic. After 1 month afterwards, the first keep will come. No, these children, parish priest, you only bless the marriage, you only have the children. Parish priest, like that he may come. So, problematic marriage. This woman also may agree, yes, my husband was not alright before marriage, I know. No. But then, refer the matter to the bishop. Because he has obligation towards one woman and some children. Or one child also. That's clear. Fourth category, somebody who has notoriously abandoned the Catholic faith. Notoriously means the same as famous, but in the negative sense. Yesterday you had the difference, negatively affected. Negatively famous is called notorious. Negatively famous. Somebody abandoned the faith, nobody knows about it, don't worry. In that case only so many Europeans, many of them. But then here notoriously abandoned. So refer to he never came to the church, everybody knows he denied being a Christian. So that case also you have to refer. The next one, marriage of a person who is under censure. Censure refers to medicinal penalties. Censure refers to medicinal penalties. What are these? Canon 13, 31, 32, 33 speak about it. Note down the number. 13, 31, 13, 32 and 13, 33. 3 censures are there. What are the 3 kinds of censures? First one, excommunication. 13, 31. Second one, interdict. That is a kind of mini excommunication. Interdict it is called. And third one, suspension. Suspension is only for clerics, so that will not come here. Clerics cannot marry, especially in the Latin church. But especially for lay people, excommunicated persons and interdicted persons cannot marry unless they get additional permission from the bishop, because bishop alone can remove the excommunication. The consequences we will study later. Then number 6, a marriage of a minor whose parents are either unaware of it or reasonably opposed to it. Suppose a girl, a boy, the girl is 18. The girl is 16. The boy is 17. Canonically, marriage is valid, but civilly invalid. In addition, parents don't want the marriage. If the parish priest goes ahead and blesses the marriage, he can bless, it will be canonically valid, but civilly he can be in prison. That is another matter. And then, even in that case, when the parents are opposed to it or do not know about it, you should never bless the marriage of a minor.
If the couple is of age, father, and their consent is there.
Consent. If the couple is major, 21, 18, parents' consent is not required. Parents' consent is not required.
Civil also it will not be any problem.
Huh?
In civil case also it will not be.
Civil also no problem. If you are blessing people's marriage after their due age. So sometimes parents are opposed. Some parish priests sometimes call me. Parents don't want it, can I go ahead? You can go ahead, but you should face the music. The girl's brother will beat you, don't call me. See to it that you are not beaten. We don't want none of our family members to come for the marriage. How can you bless the marriage? Marriage is valid, lawful, but any other consequences you should be prepared to face. That's all. Okay. And the second paragraph, advice to the first paragraph advises the parish priest to seek permission. Second paragraph, advice to giving permission. The local ordinary is not to give permission to assist at the marriage of a person who has notoriously abandoned Catholic faith, unless with appropriate adjustments Canon 1125 has been observed. So somebody abandoned faith, he is almost equal to non-Catholic. So when you marry non-Catholic, what the non-Catholic must promise? The non-Catholic must promise that I will allow that person to practice the faith that is and all given. So only 1125 must be followed, only then we can bless the marriage of such a person. And then we have the last canon in this section. Just read that. Pastors of souls are to see to it that they dissuade, means advise the people against it. Give advice against the young people from entering marriage before the age customarily accepted in the region. So, customarily accepted in the region. So, in the region 21-18, so tell the people, no, not only because civil law complication, but you have to train them also, you have to give them advice. So, this is purely pastoral matter what we have studied so far. Any doubt before we go for tea? Pastoral, but I took so much time because you are to be convinced about it. After the break, we will take the other thing. Any doubt regarding that?